Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Have you ever wondered if certain habits are truly mandatory for you to actually take action on things like recycling, or if researchers might be jumping to conclusions a little too fast? Today we are diving into a detective story in the world of psychology where one team of researchers decided to play skeptic and retest some bold claims about our habits. It sounds like a perfect checklist, right? If you want people to recycle, you just need to make sure they have a good attitude, feel like they are in control, feel responsible, and know what happens if they don't. A team of scientists previously proposed that these specific mental states act like locked doors. If you don't have the key, you simply cannot open the door to recycling. This is what they call a necessary condition. It suggests that without these specific internal states, recycling intentions are basically impossible. But Kimmo Sorjonen and his colleagues weren't so sure. They looked at this study and asked a very important question. Is it actual necessity or is it just a statistical mirage? Think of it like this. If you see people wearing raincoats and you also see people carrying umbrellas, you might think the raincoat is a necessary condition for carrying an umbrella. But clearly, both are just happening because it is raining outside. The rain is the hidden third factor. Sorjonen and his team realized that the tool used to claim these necessary conditions, called necessary condition analysis, actually has a weakness. It can mistake simple correlations for something much deeper. To check this, they built a sort of trap for the data. They created what they call ranges of spuriousness. Imagine the range of spuriousness as a baseline. It is like the noise of the ocean. If someone claims they hear a special signal in the water, you have to make sure that the sound is actually louder than the background waves. If the supposed proof for these recycling conditions doesn't rise above that background noise, then the proof is essentially empty. When they did the math, the results were eye-opening. The effects reported by the original team were not stronger than what you would expect just by pure chance or simple correlation. In other words, they were seeing patterns that weren't actually proof of necessity at all. The original researchers were claiming they had found the secret recipe for recycling, but it turned out to be more like a blurry photo. So, what does this mean for us? It means that while having a good attitude and feeling responsible are definitely related to recycling, they aren't necessarily the magic ingredients that make it happen. Instead, it is likely that all these things are just parts of a bigger picture, what the researchers call a general recycling positivity. It is like saying someone has a personality trait of caring for the environment, and that single trait shows up in many different ways at once. This is a great reminder for all of us to be careful with how we interpret science. Just because someone uses a fancy statistical tool to prove that X is necessary for Y, it doesn't always mean it is true. Science is a slow, iterative process of questioning and retesting. Sometimes the most important discoveries aren't new answers, but the realization that our previous answers were based on shaky ground. I think the move here is to always keep a healthy dose of skepticism. When you hear that something is absolutely required for a behavior to occur, ask yourself if that is really the whole story or if there might be a bigger hidden factor at play. For the researchers, this study is a massive nudge to use more rigorous methods to make sure their results are robust. For us in the real world, it means we should look at these psychological checklists as general guides rather than rigid laws. What do you think? Do you find that your own recycling habits are driven by one specific thought, or is it just a general sense of wanting to do the right thing? Drop a comment below and let me know your take. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the logic of science, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more investigations into how our minds really work. Until next time, stay curious.